On October 2nd, 1950, the first Peanut strip made its debut in 7 newspapers. Despite its modest start, Peanuts would go on to become a worldwide phenomenon. Much of this success is due to the amount of effort Charles Schulz put in the strip. He created stories and characters anyone can relate to. Everyone has been a failure like Charlie Brown, felt as crabby as Lucy, daydreamed like Snoopy, and has been as messy as Pigpen. Peanuts is considered one of the best strips ever made, if not the best, for a good reason. It's just that good. Peanuts also left a huge impact on the world of animation. For most people, their first introduction to Charlie Brown and Snoopy was through their many TV specials and movies. Some only know them through their animated appearances. The question is, how did Peanuts get involved in the medium? To answer this question, we have to go back to the 50s, when Peanuts wasn't the powerhouse it would become. According to the book Schulz and Peanuts, Schulz received an offer as early as 1954 to adapt his characters for TV animation. He turned it down because at the time he had no interest in animation. This is a pretty ironic moment when you think about how popular the characters would become in the medium. You have to consider the time this offer was made. Peanuts, like television, was still relatively new in 1954. The characters hadn't quite developed into the ones we know today. The same is true for television, and this is especially true for animation. Most of the cartoons shown on TV first appeared in theaters. This explains why their animation is so good, since the creators had more time and money to work on them. At the time, networks weren't so willing to spend a lot of time and money on cartoons for TV. The first cartoon made for TV was Crusader Rabbit from 1948. If you think the animation for a Hanna-Barbera cartoon in the 60s was primitive, Crusader Rabbit barely qualifies as animation. Most of the time, the cartoon was just still images with a narrator telling you what's going on. It was like looking at storyboards. There were other cartoons made for TV in the 50s, but most of them weren't much better than Crusader Rabbit. As fun as it would have been to see Peanuts cartoons from 1954, Schulz was probably right in turning down the offer. The area where animation excelled at the most during this time period were in commercials and opening credits for TV shows. It is here where Peanuts would get its first big break. In 1959, the J. Walter Thompson firm had been hired by the Ford Motor Company to launch an ad campaign for the Ford Falcon. It was during one of their meetings that someone suggested they use the Peanuts characters. They contacted Schulz for the use of his characters. He agreed to the deal, since the only cars he drove were Fords. The characters were used in posters, newspaper ads, and of course, TV commercials. Bill Melendez, who had worked for Disney, Warner Brothers, and UPA, was brought in to animate the characters. Melendez would later remark how at first he thought the characters would be easy to animate, only to find out that they were the hardest characters to animate. The problem lies in the fact that Schulz designed them for comic strips, rather than for animation. He must have done a good job, since he would stay with Peanuts to the day he died. Early on, It was decided that kids would be used to voice the characters rather than adults doing kid voices. This would prove to be a good and bad idea. Good because you get an authentic kid voice for the characters. Bad because every so often they have to find new actors because kids' voices change. The first Ford Falcon commercial features Charlie Brown handing out chocolate cigars to everyone. Lucy asks if Charlie Brown got another baby sister. Linus tells her no, he's celebrating the Ford Falcon. To put this commercial in context, 1959 was the year Sally was first introduced in the strip. Charlie Brown celebrated the occasion by handing out chocolate cigars. This explains Lucy's comment. The commercial proved to be a huge success, but it wasn't without criticism. Some saw this as Schultz selling out. Others thought it was wrong to use the characters to sell products, in this case, cars. The Newspaper Comics Council held an event that asked the question, how greedy can you get? This reaction baffled Schultz, as he was always careful in how his characters were used. After all, he loved to drive Fords long before they approached him. For the most part, he paid little attention to the criticism. This commercial would lead to the characters to be used in the opening to the Tennessee Ernie Ford show, which was sponsored by the Ford Motor Company. One such opening showed Charlie Brown lip-syncing to a recording of Paul Frees's voice. Paul Frees, for those who don't know, was a prolific voice actor back in the day. He is perhaps best known as the voice of Boris on Rocky and Bullwinkle. The 1950s may not have produced any TV specials or movies, but it is an important time for Peanuts. This commercial and opening helped lay the groundwork for what is to come. They set the precedent that real kids will voice the characters, and it introduced Charles Schultz to Bill Melendez. There are only two things missing: a third partner and a call from Coca-Cola. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later.